For the cancellation today, we turn to a segment on Laura Ingraham's show featuring conservative commentator Tomi Lahren. A clip from this segment went viral over the weekend with Tomi doling out some tough talk for young men who she says are lazy and feminized. Tomi has been on this subject for a long time, and we'll have more on that in a minute. But let's start with this most recent segment. Here it is. Listen.
It's a major problem. And, you know, Speaker Johnson has been talking about those maybe deadbeat folks that are on Medicaid, and maybe some of those folks are the stay-at-home sons. We don't know. But I'll tell you this, leave it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. They did much the same thing with quiet quitting, where you can go to work and do less. And if you call it quiet quitting, it's somehow better. But Laura, I got to tell you, this is also a big problem when it comes to, I think, declining birth rates. People not getting married and having children. You know, that's a big problem. They blame it on women. Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out there that want to get married. They want to have kids. They want to have stable families. But there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash. And therein lies a big part of the problem.
So Tomi blames young men for the declining birth rates, saying that women want to get married and have children, but men would rather stay in mama's basement and order DoorDash. It's an interesting accusation coming from a 32-year-old woman who, as far as I know, doesn't have children. Her Wikipedia article, at least, mentions a chihuahua, but no human children. But in any case, Tomi, as I mentioned earlier, has been on this subject for a long time. She's spent the last several years blasting men for their incompetence and their insufficiency. In fact, the last time she was featured on the Daily Cancellation was 5 whole years ago when she said this.
Now, I've often talked about the vacation of America and how men are no longer men. I talk to my mom about this a lot, and she says, well, maybe it's just the guys in Texas. Maybe it's just the guys in Los Angeles. It is not just the guys in Los Angeles, Nashville, Dallas, and they're not any better in the Midwest. They, quite frankly, I think they're trash all over this country in the age range of about 20 to, I think, about 55, maybe even 60. A lot of men are trash. A lot of men don't know how to treat women. A lot of men don't know how to really, quite frankly, pull their heads out of the sand and pay attention.
A lot of men are trash, she said 5 years ago. Men are trash all over this country, was her exact quote. And that's the kind of statement that if I said that about women, I would be denounced by both sides as a radical misogynist and likely domestic abuser. It's the kind of statement that you cannot say about any broad demographic except men. I mean, imagine saying, you know, women are trash all over the country, or gays are trash all over the country, or black people are trash all over the country. Those are unacceptable statements in polite society, but a lot of men are trash all across the country, is commentary so acceptable and normalized that we hear it even from pundits on the right.
I like Tomi Lahren. I think she's sharp when she's on her game. Maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but those clips, those are bad. And some of you guys know me. I mean, I'm not one to throw conservatives under the bus just because I disagree with them or they say something dumb. But I also can't imagine that a single man who watched those videos and didn't think, have you ever considered that maybe you're the problem? Tomi Lahren's successful. I mean, I don't think she's a stupid person, but that's what makes the total lack of self-awareness so frustrating. Especially that one where she goes off about men being trash. Like, what was the strategy there? Like, Prince Charming is going to see it and think, she hates all men? Let me change her mind. Tomi, let's get married. If anybody, man or woman, keeps attracting the same kind of toxic, I hate that word, but it's the only word I could think of, toxic partner over and over, at some point, you have to ask, what's the common denominator? Here's a hint, it's not everybody else. If finding a partner really is important to her, and judging by the tone of those clips, I'd say it is, then wouldn't it make sense to understand what the kind of man you want is actually looking for in a woman? And more importantly, and this is just my opinion, ladies, but this is where I think a lot of women get hung up, are you willing to make some adjustments to yourself? I'm not talking about changing your identity. I'm talking about being honest with yourself and saying, yeah, I'm strong in this area, but I could really work on that. I mean, I rarely, really, if ever, see that kind of self-reflection. Based on what we've seen, it doesn't seem like Tomi feels any obligation to the man in the relationship. No willingness to sacrifice, no desire to change. Just this, I'm the prize, take it or leave it mentality. You know, I don't know. I mean, I'm very, very far from a dating success story but doesn't sound like a winning strategy to me. Back to it.
Why won't they challenge young women to live up to their obligations? In fact, when pressed, Tomi won't admit that young women have any obligations at all in the first place. I want you to listen to this exchange on Piers Morgan between Andrew Wilson and Tomi Lahren. This was a couple of months ago. I thought it was a very revealing exchange. Let's watch it.
Women on the right, covert feminists on the right, are constantly and consistently talking about how they need to have privilege in society. I want men. Their version of masculinity is men who take care of us, men who protect us, men who do all of this. Those are all duties that men have towards women. Great. What are the duties that women have towards men? What are the duties that women have towards anything? What do men get out of this arrangement? What are we getting out of this arrangement? Can you tell me?
I mean,
I would argue that men innately should be protectors and providers.
Hang on one second. Let Tomi
most
respond.
men are born that way.
Let Tomi respond to that, and then I'll come to you, Jez. And then Sean, you've been waiting patiently. So
most men are born to be protectors and providers. I can't imagine my dad saying, you know what, to my mom, you know what, I'm not going to be a protector and a provider unless you do this. That's not how real men operate. Real men are protectors and providers, and they marry women who hopefully have some virtue, but also bring a lot to the table as well, that are great mothers, great wives, caretakers of the home. There's nothing wrong with being a traditional wife and mother. You're misunderstanding me if you think that I think that women should just be out doing whatever they want. I think that there are gender roles that should be respected. But I don't think a man needs to get something out of it to be a manly man, a protector and a provider. If you think you need to get something out of it, I quite frankly don't consider you a real man.
Now, Andrew asked a very reasonable, important question. What are the duties that women have towards men? Tomi, who talks a lot about the duties men have towards women, could not list even one duty that goes the other way. She says men have the duty to be protectors and providers. I agree, by the way. I say that all the time. You're not going to find anyone who agrees more with that, or you're going to find very few conservative pundit types who, I can't believe I just call myself a pundit, who talk about that more often. But, okay, so men, that's the obligation that men have to women. What obligations do women have to men? She could not provide even one obligation that women have towards men. Instead, she says that a man who expects to get something out of a relationship with a woman is not a real man, which means that in Tomi's world, no man in history has ever been a real man, because of course every man hopes to get something out of his relationship with a woman. Men are human beings. They're not robots. They're not machines programmed to do the bidding of the...
So on various podcasts and talk shows, I'm pretty sure I've seen Andrew Wilson ask that question to over 100 women. What are women's duties towards men? And he asks it like a man. It's direct. It's maybe a little uncomfortable even. And it just kind of cuts through all the feel-good feminism nonsense that's so popular. One thing you can never accuse Andrew of is pandering. He treats women in debate the same way he treats men. I mean, so I guess that's good, right? I mean, that's what women want, equality. But here's the rub. Every time I see him ask that question, the "we want to be treated equally" line goes right out the window. I've seen maybe one or two women say bearing children, which, yeah, I think that's a pretty good answer considering it's the only duty on the planet that can't be flipped. And as far as I know, and I always seem to be behind on these things, I think biology still works the same way. Let me know if you saw a TikTok or something that says something different, but you know. But when Andrew drills down at all and pushes past the having children argument, every time the woman's response turns defensive. They whine about Andrew's tone, or they throw out some edge case like, what about women without uteruses? Then Andrew has to explain he's speaking generally, and then he has to explain to them what generally means. I'm not joking. So yeah, you saw it there, and I kind of described Andrew's tone. So think about if he softened the delivery a bit and framed it like, hey, I'm genuinely curious. By no means do I mean this as an attack. What do women owe men? Maybe he'd get a more honest answer. But even then, the core problem stays the same. Equality has become the code for benefits without obligations. The expectation is that Andrew will modify his behavior to appease the woman because how dare he? I honestly can't even believe feminism in whatever form it's in these days is even still around, because it was a scam from the beginning. I mean, it was always a buffet for them. They'll take the steak and lobster, but men can keep the Spam and ramen. So to any women out there that are actually watching my channel, all 9 of you, in the comments, we've interacted some. I truly believe the women who follow this type of content are built different than the women we're talking about. I completely understand if you're skeptical that I'm just kind of pandering to my female viewers, but it really is how I feel. And I don't even know how pandering it is really anyway. I mean, most of the women Andrew debates don't even understand the question, much less are going to be able to answer it. Real relationships, strong relationships require give and take. If you expect strength, protection, financial stability, and emotional support from a man, then yeah, he should be allowed to expect something in return. Ultimately, the clips we watched of Tomi, they just reflect frustration and most likely fear too. That's okay, we all have blind spots. But if you keep ending up in the same situation with the same type of partner and nothing ever changes, maybe it's time to stop pointing outward and start looking inward. Anyway, back to the ladies. So I'm asking respectfully, see the tone I'm using? I'm just kidding. Do you agree with the idea that men should protect and provide? And if so, what are women's obligations to men? So, I mean, this is an open-ended question. You can say no one gives anyone anything, and that's fine. I'm just interested in hearing perspectives because, believe it or not, even with these chiseled features and these piercing green eyes, I don't get to ask this question that often. I don't talk to a lot of women. And fellas, I don't want you to feel left out of this one. Of course, I want you to chime in too. But I just know I don't have to ask you because you'll do it on your own. Anyway, that's it for this video. At this point in the video, a lot of times recently, I've been saying to you guys how grateful I am. Since during June here, I've been asking for a big push to increase subs and views and grow the channel and all that stuff. I've expressed my sincere gratitude for the support you're giving me. It shows in the numbers. And if I wasn't so lazy, I'd do it right now. But one of these days, I mean, most of you will click off at this point, but one of these days, I have some staggering metrics to show you guys that show just how much support you've given me since I've been asking through June. So I'm going to continue asking for your support this month for 10 more days. And after that, on July 1st, I'm rolling out something really big. I think you guys are going to like it a lot. And I'm not being sarcastic either. In conclusion, support the channel, do all the things like subscribe, notify, write a letter to your friend, I don't know, whatever the things you can do are. I really, really appreciate it. Otherwise, as always, it's never lost on me what a big deal it is for you to take a couple minutes of your precious time to watch my video. It really, really means a lot for me, and I don't take it for granted. Never forget, Jesus loves you. See you guys.